Is AI going to make human artists obsolete? Are human artists doomed to lose their jobs? And if so, how soon? Right now I'm seeing a lot of fear-mongering happening in regards to some new image-generating AI technologies that have come out recently. Since everyone is freaking out and saying that they are worried that AI is going to replace artists, I thought it would be a fun idea to see how replaceable am I? How easily can an AI actually make what I make? So I put in the ideas behind a bunch of my own artworks into Midjourney as text prompts to see what it would come out with, and I had so much fun doing this. So let's get into this. I actually started off super duper simple because Midjourney tends to work best with simple prompts. I just started off with this pencil drawing of a burger that I did a couple years ago during my A-level art course when I was doing a lot of realistic drawings. My project was food, and this was a burger I drew for that project, and it is the profile picture on my YouTube channel. And I thought for sure that Midjourney would get this so easily, but surprisingly this didn't turn out to be so straightforward. So the first prompt that I put in was photorealistic coloured pencil drawing of a burger with seeds on bun, and it came out with this. 4 of the most unappetizing looking burgers. I think it just got confused when I said with seeds on bun, and it seems to just have put seeds everywhere, and it looks crunchy. It looks like an insect burger. So I decided to give this one another shot. So the second prompt, I kind of had a strategy where I actually wrote coloured pencil drawing of very tasty burger, because previously it gave me some very highly unappetizing burgers, so I wanted to see if writing very tasty would help, and it actually kind of did. But again, I was so surprised that Midjourney could not do something as simple as produce a picture of a burger. I was like, damn, if this is the first one and it can't even draw a burger, like my job is safe. Like the top left one has some weird horrible mystery meat, so I think we're gonna disqualify that. The second one is so odd. It's got a top bun, but then the bottom bun is like made of like, looks like slices of like orange or something. The third one has the vibes of when you try and make your basic meal look fancy by putting a single basil leaf on it. And the third one looks like someone slapped a pie onto a stack of vegetables. But they were the most promising, so I upscaled the last two. And when I upscaled them, it just made them look hairy. So I decided that I win this point. I outdid the AI for this prompt. So for the next prompt, I decided to do this piece, which is one of my most favourite recent pieces that I have done. Don't ask me why, it just gives me serotonin. It's kind of a difficult one to describe, but I wrote illustration of a side profile of an Indian woman wearing colourful planets for earrings. Rainbow liquid flows out from her neck. I know that's very specific, but if you want the AI to be able to take over the job of an artist, it's got to be able to make something very specific. And this one was a complete fail. I decided to just not upscale any of these or continue with this at all, because I would simply be wasting my credits, because as you might notice, 2 of the images it produced don't even have faces, and of the 2 that do have faces, only one is a side profile. So I thought, if the machine can't even understand what a side profile is, then it really has no hopes of recreating this image. The bottom left one is actually pretty decent, but I just don't think that it is conceptually as like interesting and creative as the original. So I'm also gonna say that I win the point for this one. Even though that one is well painted, it's just not as interesting of an illustration, I think. So the next one is another one that would be very difficult to describe, but I tried my best, and Midjourney actually did pretty decently with this one. I was surprised. So I described it as a colourful vector illustration showing a row of rainbow male faces glitching and phasing in and out of reality. In the background are colourful geometric shapes. So the first two, it just seemed to generate pride flags. Respect. I love that Midjourney is a gay ally, but unfortunately that's not relevant to the prompt. The next two, I actually really liked where it was going with these. I don't know, I just really like the composition. I thought it was very interesting. Obviously, I don't think that I can score it on how well it could recreate the prompt, because I just don't think that it's possible that it could recreate anything like what I made, but I think it made an interesting variation. The faces just aren't very good. If the faces were good, I probably would have given it a point. So I'm gonna say that I win this one as well, but I do like what Midjourney came out with. So this next one is the first one that Midjourney came like the closest to winning, and it's this hand illustration which is based off of that scene from Doctor Strange. I described this one as literally as I could. I wrote scratchy digital illustration, and I wrote scratchy because I was kind of trying to convey the texture of the image. A scratchy digital illustration of a pitch black hand, and I didn't just write black hand because then I thought it would like interpret it that as a black person's hand, but I literally meant black as in the colour black, so I wrote pitch black hand with smaller hands growing out of the fingers and tiny hands coming out of the fingers of the small hands. And then I specified the colour scheme. I wrote red, purple, blue, black, and also eerie vibes because it's quite a spooky illustration. And I just straight up thought that Midjourney was going to suck at this because I just knew that it was not going to understand what I meant at all, and I didn't really know how else to describe it. But in the first set of images that it created, it actually made one that I quite like, and I think kind of is very similar to the composition of the original because it is a hand in the circle. Although it has 4 fingers, but I decided to explore that one a little bit more, and I made a couple more variations of it, and then you'll see in the top right there's this one that I liked enough to upscale because there was like this weird spooky mask, and then when I upscaled it, unfortunately that mask thing didn't work out, but I actually really liked the result. I really liked the texture of it. And I really liked the abstractness of it. I like the way that the hand kind of looks like tree roots. It's very veiny. So I think we're gonna say that this one is a tie. I just think Midjourney is really good at creepy illustrations, which you will definitely see with the next picture that I show you. So now we're coming to our final art piece, and oh my god, this turned out so well. The prompt was Undead zombie king emerges from lake. Blue colour scheme. You can see I'm keeping it really vague. And the first generation was so cool. Like, Midjourney is just so good at making these really big environments with these big looming figures in them. And I absolutely loved the composition of the top right. And so I decided to do a couple more variations of that one. And then we've got some more lakes, and I was really struggling to know which one I should upscale because I don't have unlimited credits, unfortunately. I really like the crowns that were appearing in the top left and the bottom right. It looks like he's emerged out of the swamp during a full moon and he's staggering around, and then he finds his old crown, and the crown is like overgrown. It's got all of these weeds that are just growing on it. And I really liked the top left, so I upscaled it, and then it kind of ruined it, and I was so sad because I really loved the texture that was going on in the sky, like this lovely rippling water texture and that big moon behind him, and then it just kind of turned it into clouds, and I was like, that's alright. But it's still a really great illustration. Like, look at that water. I could never paint water like that. So the AI outdid me in this, but it's not very similar to the original illustration. So I thought I will give it another go and see if I can get one that just focuses in on the face. So this next one is zombie king head emerges from lake wearing a crown, turquoise color scheme, because I thought it's not really blue, it's more like a greeny blue, it's more turquoise. And look at these results. Obviously not all of them are good, but the bottom two were pretty good, and I was particularly loving the bottom right, and I decided to scale that up, and look at this. This is so cool. I love this. This illustration worked out so well. Like, Midjourney isn't so good with faces, but that's actually pretty good if you are trying to make someone who's a zombie, because their face is going to look very, you know, kind of messed up anyway. So it really worked so well for this. I love the rotting face. I love it. What a sentence to say. I love the rotting face, but you know, I do. I'm a fan. I also like that it randomly added like trees onto the crown. No reason, it's just kind of like randomly kind of a creative thing to put trees on the crown. It doesn't make sense, but I like it. The only criticism I have with this one would be that it doesn't look like he's emerging from a lake. It just looks like he's having a bath. Looks like he's just chilling in the tub, you know? This kind of really painterly style is never something that I do. It's never something that I've really learnt to do. I'm kind of more focused on 2D looking illustrations is the kind of thing that I really love and that I'm aiming to get really good at making. So it's really cool to see what this piece would look like if I painted it in a more three-dimensional style. And I'm gonna say that the AI hands down wins the point here, and I'm not even mad about losing. So after 5 rounds, the artist's score is 4 and the AI's score is 2, because I won 3 and one of those I said was a tie point. So overall, I win, and my job as an artist is still safe from the AI overlords. If you're worried about AI taking over your job right now, my advice would be don't be. As you've seen in this video, it's very hard to get the AI to come out with the exact image that you want in your head, and a lot of these would need a lot of human work on top of them to be usable. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I would love to do this video again if I get DALL-E 2 access. Looking at you, OpenAI devs, if any of you are watching, please hit me up, give me access. If you enjoyed this video and if you like my art, then please consider supporting me by subscribing to this channel or following on any other of my platforms. My name is Lola.Holliday on all of them. Goodbye!